Welcome to Soul Brothers with myself, Simon, and Eno, where it is our job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole and show you around in our exciting ecosystem.
Our mission is to catch you up to date with the latest and greatest on Solana so that you never run out of fun conversation topics to talk about with your crypto friends and your non-crypto friends. Hey Simon, how you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm dialing in live from Dubai right now, so I had quite a journey behind me in the last couple of months. But yeah, I
Yeah,
touched I touched base here actually 2 nights ago for the Founders Villa. We're going to talk about this today as
yeah.
well a little bit, and I'm super happy that we're recording our second episode today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to be recording episode number two. It is coincidentally also season number two of Founders Villa over in Super Team UAE. I am recording from Korea. I am experiencing mass FOMO. I've said this before 100 times, but I absolutely
Yep.
love Dubai. I know that there are some people who don't like the Middle East for whatever reason. I absolutely loved my time there, specifically the Solana community. Alex does a
Mm.
great job curating really world-class builders and developers, all in a single villa. And I really wish I was there right now.
I believe you. I know the concept of conference and event FOMO very well, especially if you attend so
Yeah,
many of them. You know how valuable they are and what happens on the
yeah.
ground. And then it's even worse because you actually know what you're missing out. So I feel you, bro. I've been there. I had the same before.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Let's double click on the Solana Founders Villa in Dubai later in the agenda today. And let's move on to the first official topic of the pod today, which is going to be markets. It's October. We're expecting a big pump in October as usually. Normally it's a green month. It has been for most of the past years. So far, we haven't really seen it yet. So I'm just gonna take a quick look with everyone on the Solana chart. Actually, I can share it with you as well looking back from January to today. We're down a bit because we did have a nice pump in March this year in the first quarter, and yeah, now we're kind of going sideways since August actually, since yeah early August, after the 5th of August crash. It's gonna be historical actually that moment. We went down a lot, and after that we went up again. And since then we're trading sideways basically. Yeah, in somewhere between 120 and $160 for on the Solana
What
chart.
what it, what is it? What is it that people call it? They call it the crab. Is it just
Which
because
one?
like
The
crabs walk side to like choppy action? I
ah
think it's called like a crab
sideways
market.
movement.
Is it because like crabs walk side to side? Like that's the
I
only
haven't
reason I
heard
can
that
think of
term,
why
but
would
I've learned
really?
something today. Yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
makes total sense. Yeah, I call it sideways movement, which is totally boring. But yeah, we're literally in the crab right now, not with P, with B. And interestingly enough, right now at this very moment, we're at 143 in the Solana chart. It's very unclear right now, in my opinion, if we're going up or down, honestly, which is normally the case. But I think we might see a few more pull downs, yeah, like pullbacks before we can go up again. But everyone is expecting some movement to the upside soon, because it looks like the market is getting ready for it. We just need to put some gasoline on it, put some fuel on it, to go up. But it will be the crypto market overall, right? It will not just
Well,
be Solana.
I'll probably say this a million times in the future, but I think the best fuel is to keep building, make Solana more useful, make it the chain for dApps, which it is. So we just need to keep doing more of that. And, things like Radar, which we will be talking about later, are great initiatives, obviously, by
Mm.
Solana, to bring more utility to the space.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course. I mean, prices is just in my opinion, a very honest reflection of blockchain's health, right? It's a very nice, it's like
Yes,
it is the pulse of the blockchain, if you want to say so, right? It goes up and down.
sure.
And this is like usually when an ecosystem doesn't perform very well on chain, then it's reflected in the prices as well. Because if a protocol it's set up correctly, the revenues the protocol makes as a blockchain, which is usually based on transaction fees, right?
Mhm.
Does flow back to a certain degree into the price of the blockchain. So that's why we have Solana in a very healthy spot today after being crashed to literally $8 after FTX, because the chain is performing good itself. It is selling a lot of block space. It is making a lot of transactions, and it's reflected in the price. And we also see Ethereum, on the other hand, obviously being highly valued, the still higher valued as than Solana, looking at the market cap. But we're also seeing a lot of sideways movement on Ethereum because people are a bit uncertain in these days about the future of Ethereum and how it actually looks like. If it's good that it's so fragmented on all the different layers. I think, what we should do in the future, if that's something the audience would like to see, is a bit of a Ethereum Solana kind of battle, to just, yeah, kind of put both sides on a balance and wait a little bit. And see what are the pros, what are the
Sure.
cons, what is the future direction. We can invite a guest maybe for that as well, and talk a little bit about it because I'm sure you have your opinions on the differences between Solana and Ethereum.
I don't like to talk too much shit, but yeah, I do.
Exactly, but that's good. And we need someone who's more pro Ethereum, and then I think we can have a good conversation about the actual facts. Somewhere in the middle, usually there's the
Sure.
truth, to bring some neutrality to the conversation.
Or
Um,
one side's categorically right and the other is categorically wrong, but
True. That might be true as well. We're a Solana branded podcast here, so it's fine if we talk a little bit of Maxi talk. Cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what Price is doing. Nothing too exciting going on right now. A lot of sideways crap action. And yeah, markets
I'm still
overall.
waiting for October.
Exactly. Markets overall should deliver in October. Yeah, so far we haven't seen it yet. But the environment is not bad. Actually, there's been some reports last week from US economy, the latest service PMI data, for example, which kind of measures the health of the service industry, non-manufacturing industry. They've been quite positive, much better than the forecast. And it's usually a good leading indicator for economic health. I think also job claims were quite okay, like not too bad. So we see, I think, this week again, there's going to be some Federal Reserve news coming out later this week. Let's see how it goes, and then obviously we have the elections coming up pretty much in 1 month.
I read a tweet the other day that went something to the effect of November, no matter who wins in November, you will bet your ass there will be a lot of money printing. So
Yeah,
either way,
actually, yeah. Either way,
US dollar is going to inflate a lot.
yep. Are you up to date on who's more crypto bullish, like more crypto friendly, between Kamala Harris and
Um,
Donald Trump?
at the risk of getting everybody angry, I think that Trump doesn't give a shit about crypto. He just cares about like whatever his audience wants to hear.
Right.
And then I think that Kamala, she's made a couple of comments about like how the United States is going to lead the world in blockchain as well
Yeah.
as various technological initiatives. But that also just feels like campaign speech. So I think Trump is a liar, and I think Kamala is also a liar with regards to crypto. So
Crypto.
at
Mm.
sorry guys, I don't think any of these candidates are really the pro crypto candidate. Remains to be seen who they appoint to various agencies, and so that might really affect some of the regulation that we see in the United States. Gensler
Mm.
obviously was a horrible choice. Hi, Gary. How are you? Um,
Mm.
always
I-
picking a fight that you can't win, I see. But
if if this man is listening to the show, we made it.
uh, yeah, no, he's not listening to this.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I'm very bearish on either candidate as it pertains to crypto. But well, I mean, hey, I'm happy to be proven wrong either way. So,
Yeah. I think that's not in our circle of influence anyway, as builders, as believers of blockchain tech.
Look, I don't speak for all Americans. I'm a simple
Right,
Californian.
right. That's different. But yeah, they have some catching up to do in crypto. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to me how I talk to folks who work with regulators like around the
Hmm.
world and how they
Hmm.
all look at the SEC for guidance. I'm like, really?
Mm.
Like, okay.
Maybe look in Asia.
Um,
Maybe look in Abu Dhabi. Maybe look somewhere where people
well,
actually get shit done.
well, that's the thing is that Abu Dhabi and Dubai, the regulators there also look to what the U.S. is doing,
I
and
mean,
same
sure.
as Singapore,
Mm.
Korea as well. It's just kind of insane. Like, okay, I guess we're taking all of our crypto regulation tips from the SEC.
Let's see when we get closer to the elections, everything, how things look. But it's going to be an interesting month for sure this month, and also next month. I'm
By the
pretty sure
way,
of that.
I'd like to say this just to cover my ass a little bit. I actually am pro regulation to a degree. Like I
Mm,
do
mm,
think that like we need clear rules of engagement. Just what we have right now is basically do what you want, and if at some point if you piss us off, we'll sue you, which just doesn't
mm.
seem like a good model. It's all like people are literally writing the SEC with like, could you give you rules? And they're like, no. And it's like, can I do this? Maybe. All right, well, I'm gonna do it. 6 months later, lawsuit. It's like, what kind of system is that? That makes no sense.
No, spot on, right? We need clarity.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. Should we chat a little bit about the state of Solana? What's like in one segment, what's new on
Oh
chain?
yeah,
For sure. I think we should
absolutely.
dive into it. There has been actually a great report written by the foundation, by Solana, about the state of Solana. Basically it came right after Breakpoint, and it covers some highlights that happened on chain. And I think it's a good idea to just cover them a little bit, and I'll mention them. And if you have some comments on some of those points, then shoot them out, and let us know your opinions, bullish, bearish, what does it mean for Solana, things like this. I
Sure,
think the first
sure.
one, they're probably all quite bullish, but the first one is especially bullish. It says institutional adoption on Solana is accelerating. There
Yep.
is some proof to that. We do have upcoming launches from Franklin Templeton, one of the top 20 asset managers in the world, Securitize, which is the tokenization partner for BlackRock's Biddle fund, and Societe Generale, who are all announcing that they're going to roll out some institutional products powered by Solana.
Yeah.
So I guess that's pretty bullish for the chain.
I think it's bullish for the chain, but bearish for RWAs, if that makes sense.
How come?
Like
How come?
obviously any institutions using Solana to any degree is going to be very good for, let's say, usage of Solana, especially by
Mm,
normies who don't even know that's being powered by the blockchain.
yeah.
But what we sought to build, for those who remember like what the old crypto ethos was banking the unbanked or providing financial services to anyone permissionlessly. And what would have been nice is if a smaller company who was willing to take on the risk and had the ability to access these RWAs were to permissionlessly give, like, let's say somebody in Nigeria who doesn't even have the ability to open a bank account access to high quality securities, right?
Right.
But with these institutions basically controlling the initiative, and it makes sense that it would be them, given their size and credibility. Um, but I am very, very concerned that essentially what we're doing is we're taking TradFi and we're just moving it on chain. And specifically, what I'm talking about is the KYC process, right? It's like I'm not
Mm,
against KYC either to a degree. It's just that this dream that we had of permissionless finance in some ways continues to exist in DeFi. But as it pertains to RWAs, it does kind of feel like that moment is slipping away. So I am a little concerned, that we'll get to a spot like where maybe it's
mm,
okay for, let's say, a person who doesn't do KYC to own gold. But certainly, like the U.S. government would have problems with them holding Apple stock, right? Like, because what if it's an unsavory organization or that holds stake in an American
mm,
company? Like that would be something that the regulators would not want. So like I understand the need to balance caution with kind of widespread acceptance of
hmm.
these institutional services on chain. But yeah, I am a teensy bit concerned about the direction that we're headed in,
Right, right.
from a personal philosophical perspective.
Yeah. No, which is probably healthy. Mm. Personally, I think it might be two different kind of things as well, like to kind of improve existing kind of markets like RWA with blockchain systems, make them more liquid. There's a few upsides, obviously, to the whole RWA thing,
Yeah,
and if it brings more adoption, if it needs to be regulated, and if it creates more activity on chain, that's firstly a win. First things first, and I think
agreed.
we don't lose the capability of building permissionless products around it, right? Like it can coexist, which is beautiful. So we need more effort probably on that front, because there's not so much money
Yeah,
flowing into that. So
yeah, we
um,
will see how this shakes out.
exactly, as usual. But the next one is pretty bullish, I think, which is that there's a lot of nice mobile applications coming up in the Solana ecosystem by some
Ooh,
leading projects, which in turn should result probably in a bit more usage as well of those applications, because mobile is a big thing, right, these days. And I think
yeah.
especially the apps are being used quite heavily on mobile. So we do have Jupiter. You said they're live, right? I think you mentioned it outside of this
Yeah,
call
Jupiter
before.
Mobile, finally live. Th that product was originally called Ultimate, which was a team based out of Berlin.
Mm,
They were acquired by Jupiter. I think that there were a couple of devs as well that got it was like an Aqua Hire acquisition.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So not only did they get the core product, but they also got the people behind it, which helped them accelerate Jupiter Mobile. I've actually been testing it out for the last couple of months. and they have a on-ramp with MoonPay that's
Yep.
native to the wallet. So it's very, very cool, super slick. I'm super excited to see how the rest of the ecosystem reacts to it. I also think that they integrated a tap to pay feature, which I don't know how it works, but like, does it mean that I can spend my bonk? Like, that's actually really cool if I can, right? Um, so yeah, I think it's integrated into Apple Wallet. Don't quote me on that. But there's like a lot of cool things that will make Jupiter Mobile essentially a super app for Solana. And we've yet to see that yet. So I'm very excited to see the evolution of essentially a Solana super app.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we're showing a quick video as well here of how it looks like, how the UI looks like, and it's pretty beautiful. Or like Jupyter obviously knows how to build good user experiences by now, and
Yep.
yeah, they have like simple swap, one tap swap, is what they call, which makes it super easy to swap tokens on mobile. Yeah, they have a bunch of really cool features. Zero platform fees, of course. The Moon Pay on ramp, which makes it easy to just get your hands on crypto, which is super important if you want to use Jupyter Mobile as a kind of entry point for new people to Solana, right?
Yeah.
To make them buy some tokens. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you know about did you try out MoonPay with by any chance with the Jupyter wallet?
I have
Or
not used MoonPay with
yeah,
the Jupyter wallet
you
because
already have
I
your
have a
crypto?
more efficient. I have
Yeah,
my own efficient on ramp, so I don't want to
that's okay.
pay those fees. But yeah, for other folks that don't have access to on ramps, like that's a super crucial piece for just getting norm. Like for
Yeah, you
example,
can.
like if you open a wallet for the first time and you don't have any Solana, how
Mhm.
the heck do you charge that? Like
Exactly.
how do you get your first Solana? It's like,
Yeah,
card is the easiest way to do it.
yeah, and you can even use Apple Pay, right? In with MoonPay. So you just double click on the home button and zack, you have like $50 worth of Solana in your wallet. So
It's pretty sick.
pretty sick solution. No KYC required, I think up to a certain amount of Sol that you want to buy or whatever token. So yeah,
Mhm.
mobile is coming. Jupyter is not the only company that released an app in the mobile sphere. We have Drip with their mobile app as well. We have Photo Finish, which is a betting game that's fully on chain. And they also
Horse racing on chain.
yep, pretty interesting. And they also launched a mobile app for it. And then obviously in this whole ecosystem, we also have the Seeker, the hardware, and we have the JP2, the Jumbo phone too. So the next version of the kind of little bit cheaper version of a phone, just $99, but still a pretty proficient device. And very interesting to see the Jumbo phone mentioned in the Solana Foundation's State of Solana paper. So they by now
Oh
I think
yeah,
they
for
really
sure.
acknowledge, like this is Seeker, this is our phone, high end. If you want to have the best in class crypto phone by us, but if you want to look a little bit to your spendings, then go with Jumbo, where you get great tech for just $99.
A couple of comments here.
Mm.
Starting back with Photo Finish, they actually told me that their user retention is over 90%, which seems insane to me. That's crazy. 90% user
Wow.
retention. Like, I don't know if they've been able to sustain that, but that's absolutely incredible. So, like, very
Wow.
bullish on the Photo Finish team. Super connected with Churchill Downs, which is one of the biggest derby races in the United States, as well as a few sports channels like ESPN. So, like, they're going to be making big moves and continue to make big moves. And then I have changed my mind since episode one about the Seeker. I am now bullish
Wow.
on the Solana phone
Wow.
over time. Yes. So
What happened to
totally,
you?
well, totally. I was shitting on the Seeker in Toby's comments, and then we had a full conversation about
Oh,
the
really?
thesis. Yes, yes.
So
And so the
how did he convince
thesis,
you?
what he convinced me was that there are things and use cases that you can push on the Seeker phone that Apple and Google and Samsung will not allow, right? And that's
Hmm.
because of the nature of
Hmm.
how big they are, right? So specifically these crypto use cases, I mean, like you will just not be able to find those on the phones of the big three, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? Well, it means that developers who want to develop crypto financial or just either, it doesn't necessarily even have to be DeFi. It could be games, for example, right? They can do that all of that more or less on the Seeker. And what you get essentially is a developer moat, right? So that is the moat that would separate the Seeker from these other world-class phones. And in Toli's vision of what the Seeker ultimately will become, it's a high-end phone. It's a high-tier phone. So it'd be, on the same level as a Samsung or a Apple flagship.
Yeah.
which brings me very nicely into Jambo, right?
Mm.
So first of all, it's very well known that Lily Liu, who is the president of Solana Foundation, is a huge supporter of Jambo, especially because of the work they're doing in emerging markets.
Hmm.
Um, and it covers the other end of the spectrum, right? So you have the
Right.
high tier phone for folks in I hate to say developed nations, but you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and then also Jambo covers more of the emerging markets. So like you get full
Mm.
coverage. You get the mid tier phone, and then you get the high tier flagship phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's super exciting that they kind of have two Solana native phones, which I think is two more phones than Ethereum has. So I could be wrong about this, but
Ethereum people will tell you that's two more phones than the world needs. They would probably say something like this, but I got your point, and
yeah,
I'm
sure.
also bullish on both. I own a Jumbo, I pre-ordered the Seeker, but mostly because I'm just a tech nerd. I want to play around with it. But
Yes.
I'm excited to see how that plays out in the future. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, who knows, right? People might actually use Seeker. It could be one of the adoption drivers for crypto for Solana. It could, right? Like there's a chance. So it's great that they do it, and we want to keep that
If
open,
they
that
have
door.
if they have a tight integration with Jupyter Mobile and Seeker, like I think that it might just become my daily driver. It's kind of freaking me out about the possibilities that you could have on that phone.
Mm, yeah, no, definitely. The problem is just like people like me, they're just locked into their Apple ecosystem. They're just, I can't escape,
Yeah.
right? And now if I have a Seeker, I have my Android, and my Android has no idea what's happening in all my other devices. So it's like it's just this ecosystem dilemma. But it is what it is.
Yes.
Anyway, mobile
Yeah.
bullish, a lot of new apps, a lot of new phones. So it's exciting what's happening there. The
Woo.
next one, also interesting. Solana payment ecosystem continues to expand. We do have some launches that came up in that space as well with payment apps like Sling. Maybe you heard about it. They make
Yes.
yeah, payments super easy. You ever used that by any chance? I have not. I've not used
I
it
have
actually.
not used Sling.
Yeah,
No, not yet.
same. I didn't really feel the urge to do it yet. Um, and then there's also debit cards powered by Solana-based stablecoins. And
Mhm.
then a new emerging stablecoin like Sky's USDS. Have you heard about Sky's USDS yet?
Oh, yes. I mean, do you know what the artist formerly known as Dai is now? It's Sky. So MakerDAO, Dai,
Ah,
they
ah,
rebranded to Sky and
USDS.
SUSD or yeah, USDS, right?
USDS.
Yeah. So yeah, that is that I get confused. By the way, there is a SUSD and a USDS
Yeah,
already. I mean, but they
awesome.
haven't launched yet. It's
Mm,
so I think Solend, which is rebranded to Save, is going to be releasing a
mm,
stablecoin from what I heard. And then
mm.
Jupiter also wanted to launch like a SUSD. They're two like, and all of them are using S for Solana, and obviously Sky
Mm.
is using it for Sky. So it's just getting very confusing in the stablecoin game now. Is like, okay, who's the real? It's like who's the real Slim Shady? Like who's the
Right.
real SUSD? Who's the real
Yeah.
USDS?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Shit.
it's MakerDAO.
Confusing.
So I mean, like
Mm.
actually had the pleasure of talking, not talking, but introducing Rune over at Stablecoin Summit
Cool.
over in Singapore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He was talking a lot about the rebrand. I wish
Mm.
them the best of luck.
Mm.
Not
Why do you say it
not
that way?
quite so.
Do you have some
It,
critique or some concerns around Sky, the rebranding, their way they set up the USDS thing itself?
I just don't see the need for the rebrand. And
Okay.
the only reason why I think they chose Sky was because their sub DAOs, this goes very deep down the rabbit hole, but their sub DAOs are called stars, right? And so it's kind of
Mm.
like you're naming the company after an existing naming convention, which just kind of fucks with my head a little bit. It's like,
Right.
is that the best way to like, wouldn't you just want to like start from scratch? But hey, okay.
Mm.
I mean, it's totally their prerogative. I just think that when you have to take your brand back to square one and essentially build up awareness, because the majority of people who love MakerDAO do not know that they've rebranded Sky. Like you
Right.
are very familiar with Maker and Dai, and yet,
Exactly.
obviously,
I
yeah,
have not heard about Sky's USDS yet, so that was new to me. But obviously,
yeah,
Dai, I know. Yeah, OGs in the space. Interesting.
yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have projects built primarily on Solana announced $137 million in fundraising only in Q3 2024. So in the third quarter of this year, all Solana projects together have raised more than $173 million, which is actually not bad. So $173 million in a market like right now is actually quite a good number, I would say. And we did see a few kind of bigger funding rounds as well, including the Drift round, the recent one, right? Where they surpassed the $15 million of total funding. So obviously huge plans ahead. And yeah, I think we're slowly but surely entering a phase where it gets a bit easier again to fundraise compared to the problems of 2023 for sure. And also this year has been choppy so far. Um, but yeah, I think it's a good sign that VC money is flowing into the ecosystem for sure.
I mean, I read this other tweet that was like, well, Eigenlayer raised 170 million or something like this. And I was like, yeah, well,
Mm,
different chains, different levels of funding available.
yeah. Also, I don't know if that's a good thing. So like I don't know
Yeah.
if you should if you should throw so much money at one project. It might turn into a shit show.
Ooh. So
Uh,
spicy take, why is that? I mean, like you come from a VC background, not everyone might know this, but like, so why
yeah.
do you think might not be the best idea to throw so much money into a single project?
You need to analyze a bit the funding journey of that company and also the dynamics of that round. And without being super deeply involved in Aglaya's kind of funding round there. But I think what usually happens a lot of times is that investors, a lot of VC funds just feel the FOMO and jump in, right? Especially in that sector.
No.
They just throw money against it because someone else did. And then it's this kind of domino effect. And which is might be good for the project because they just get a shit ton of money without really asking for it at a certain stage because people are just piling up, to be in. But then
Sure.
is that capital allocated in a smart way? Probably not. Like, and also do they need that
Probably not.
capital for their vision in one single transaction, like in one round? Also not sure if that implied growth is healthy for a company. So just a little bit of
Right.
critique. Like obviously huge milestone for them and it's a great amount of money to raise. Like props to that, respect. If it's the right thing to do, I don't know. Right. I like to keep funding rounds a bit smaller and realistic.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Again, yeah, exactly. So yeah, State of Solana, I think yeah, we covered quite a few things. I'm thinking if we missed anything exciting that happened on Solana right now in the past kind of 2-3 weeks. I think we covered pretty much everything since Breakpoint at least. That is new. There's obviously some statistics around on-chain transactions that are picking up again. There's some Blinks meta going on again. Obviously, since the release of Blinks blockchain links, a lot of apps start to play around with it, and we're also seeing Blinks now, not only on Twitter but also on other platforms being used. I think Drip also uses Blinks by now to integrate external DApps in their front end directly. Mm, so you can basically bid on auctions via Mellow and then buy NFTs from Tensor directly on Drip, which is pretty cool through a Blink.
Yeah. Bonk just released a kind of like a Blinks and dialect integration. I want to say that Realms is involved in
Mm,
as well, where
cool.
you can essentially drop a Blink directly into a Telegram group chat.
Oh
And
wow.
if enough people like click and verify transaction, then you can enable an on-chain transaction. So like that's very, very cool. It's like you can essentially have a DAO within a Telegram group chat, which is sick.
Cool. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean that's the frontier, right? We're tinkering, we're experimenting. But there
Yes.
might be pretty cool things coming out of that.
Yeah,
That's
it's a cool
amazing.
idea.
I want to shout out here at this stage as well. Just in terms of, because Drip with their blinks, we mentioned them. We mentioned some of the mobile like Jupiter and Photo Finish, some of those apps. Another thing that I think picked up some steam is the Cast card, right? Which is basically just a debit
Yes.
card, a Visa card, that you can use. I use it every day right now, honestly, honestly speaking, because it does the job.
Nice.
Obviously, like I send my USDC there in a second. I have money on it. I pay with it. It does the job. And then obviously they are smart. They use the superpower of points campaigns in crypto to the superpower of potential airdrops to kind of bootstrap their growth right now. And it's really
Yeah.
it's fun to see your points accrue, right? When you spend money, you get that points cashback. Super team members get extra chunky cashback, by the way, if you have a super team branded card. Um,
Ooh.
and then yeah, you basically accrue points, and now my points are they're worth $1,000, it says in the app, which is measured on the probably on the TGE valuation of some future token. which is like $300 million. So I'm a bit skeptical about that. Like the FTV is a bit high for my taste. I'm not the
Sure.
biggest fan of hundred millions of FTV tokens at TG, but who knows? Maybe they have big plans. Maybe they can make it work. And still, I use it because even if it's less, like it's nice to get some cashbacks.
I mean, out of all the projects I've heard of so far that, is launching several hundred million FTVs, uh, a payments card makes a lot of sense. I almost think it's on lower end compared to some of the recent FTVs we've seen for these projects. So, out of I understand your skepticism, but I'm
Mm.
actually cautiously optimistic that it makes sense for Cast, especially if there's
Mm.
real usage. Like, because we complain all the time about like real utility on Solana. This is about as close as it fucking gets.
True, it's true. And I'm a fan, right? Like I'm a fan of them as well.
Yeah,
Um, One last bit of news that I find quite exciting is around the PYUSD, PayPal's stablecoin that has been live
yeah.
for a while now, right? And after Breakpoint, actually, they announced the launch of a crypto merchant account feature. So, in the US at least, merchants can buy, hold, and sell crypto directly from their PayPal business account. Have you heard about that, or is it new?
I
Is it
know
cool?
it is very cool, dude. I feel so bad. I feel like this entire podcast I've just been on shitting on every cool update, but it's like I literally
What?
posted
Okay,
about
well,
Pi
give
USD.
give me the
Like,
shit. What's shitty? What? We're on a
oh
pessimistic
no, I'm
ride right now.
really, it's like I literally posted about this last week. Pi USD's market cap in the last month dropped from like over 50% from
Right,
like
right.
over 600 million to like about mid 320, 330 million. And it's
Mm.
because like they juiced a bunch of incentives. So it was like 30% APY, which is insane in this market. It was like
Oh wow.
30% APY for like a couple of weeks. I want to say like maybe a month and a
Mm.
half, and then they just
Wow.
dropped to zero essentially. I mean, not zero, but like basically unjuiced APY,
Mm-hmm.
which was just a very dumb move. They should have went for like a much smaller. Anyways, my point being is that like yes, making it available for merchants is a good move to use, but like if you want to have staying power in Solana, it needs to be useful in DeFi, right? And I think that they went a little too hard on like, we'll give you money to start using Pi USD. And in some cases, those types of incentives can lead to sticky capital. In this case, I think it's a pretty clear L on their case,
Mm.
on their behalf. So
True.
they had like an 8-figure war chest to pump these
Mm.
yield numbers. So I hope they try it again, but I hope they do it with a lower APY for longer and perhaps even just focus much more on like DeFi integrations in general.
Mm.
Like that will be much more healthy for PyUSD. So like I'm a fan. I want them to
Mm-hmm.
succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I want all stablecoins to succeed on Solana. And
Yeah.
it just the way that they did it, which is choosing the APY, did not work categorically.
Well, hopefully they learn from their mistakes. Let's say it that way.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, in the next section, let's start to talk a little bit more about the Radar Hackathon, which is going on right now, organized by Colosseum. This happens twice a year. Is it twice a year, Colosseum? I think so. It should be twice.
Yeah,
There
I
has
think
been
they have
Renaissance.
two
There's
hackathons a
Radar.
year, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they've been called different things in the past. I
true.
think last year was called Grizzlython because we were building throughout the bear.
All
But
right.
this year's branding very much is like Coliseum and
Cool.
now Radar. So
Radar.
I actually have no idea whether or not it's Solana Labs or Solana Foundation that runs this, but whoever does run it,
I mean, there's
it's
Colosseum,
such a
first of
G.
all, right? Colosseum is its own
Right,
organization, I would say. So they're running it. But I
right.
think they're working closely with Foundation on this. Pretty sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Foundation is
for
pushing
sure.
it. Like you see it on Solana.com. So yeah, because it's a net positive for the whole ecosystem. I've seen there's so many submissions this time. It's been like like 30% or 40% more than in the Renaissance, which is huge. Like it's a lot of submissions, like 3,000 submissions or something.
Yeah, no, we definitely, I think post Breakpoint in Singapore have garnered so much interest for building on Solana, which is
Yeah.
a good thing. I want to caution people who have been here for a while who are feeling a little icky. Like I feel like I've heard the sentiment around the ecosystem, like, oh, we have a bunch of tourists on Solana. It's like that's a good thing. You
Yeah, we
should
want
be
tourists, right? If
happy.
you're a country,
Yes.
you want tourists. They spend money. They come, they bring opportunities.
Yes. And some of them might be builders that stay with us, So like a lot of them might be grifters that are just here for the moment.
Mm.
But within, the rough are the diamonds. So I'm very much looking forward to meeting and growing and expanding this ecosystem because to be fair, it kind of feels like we
It's so small.
know a lot of the players, right? It is a very small
Yeah.
ecosystem, so it'd be great to grow out the network.
Yeah.
And in fact, Simon, you are like a recent addition to like Solana.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels
So
much
and
longer than
I'm
it
I'm
is.
and like I'm also quite new as well. Like if you
Mm.
compare me to some of the OGs that have been around, like
Yeah.
bro, like
Yeah.
I've been on Solana for like a year and 8 months. Like that's nothing. So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
like we're gonna start off with explaining kind of how radar is structured this
Hmm.
time. So do you know how radar is structured this time, Simon? I think you're intimately familiar.
Is it much different than Renaissance from
That's
the
not that
start?
much that different.
Yeah.
I just kind of mean that it's very much that you're getting support from your local. You don't have to get support from your local super team, but the local super teams have been doing a lot of hard work to
Yeah.
get local projects to help launch through super team
Hmm.
into Radar. So that's another thing that's great about the Solana ecosystem is that because we have the super teams which have regional hubs truly in most places in the world, like even in South America, where they're very much loved by other chains,
Hmm.
like we have local super team organizations that can help you, like connect you with the right builders, people in the space, any resources that you need, development help. So yeah, I just think it's great that we have the structure where it's like radar, and then like all the super teams have been kind of tasked with onboarding local projects that might not be so familiar with Solana into Solana. So that's like freaking amazing.
Yeah. What are some of your
Yeah.
highlights? I'd love to hear a bit about what projects piqued your interest.
So the first one is not so much a submission, but a Coliseum mention, right? And
Mm.
I might shit on them just a little bit, but but I do like the base idea. So it's called block mesh. And
Hmm.
essentially what block mesh, what they call it is an open source secure network with AI oversight. And here's where my criticism comes into play. Guys, that means nothing, right? You need to translate it so that normies can understand what you're talking about. And if not norm, like I'm at least semi-familiar with LLMs, and this means nothing to me, though I'm sure it means something to you. But from what I can gather from the main website, and there's only like one line that specifically talks about this, is that you can essentially rent out your available bandwidth on your local computer. So that's my understanding of what block mesh is that much like render, you could rent out your GPU to be used to train LLMs, as well as I think there are a couple of other security applications that are quite interesting. But again, I need it in normal, explain like I'm five language. Even the docs were not very helpful. So, what do you think about AI tech in Solana?
Definitely we're a good home for AI tech. I think we have some great deep projects as well that are going on. Like there's a few sectors that are booming, especially on Solana. And I think there should be definitely. There's a lot we can do with that technology. But I also totally agree with you that the communication in some of those apps needs to be much better because I should be able to look at a Twitter profile and know exactly what the heck is going on and what this company is doing. And
Yes.
sometimes that's a bit difficult to kind of find the tweet that explains it or the tagline is not right on point.
I mean, it's a pretty genius idea to like essentially crowdsource GPU
Yeah.
power from, people's local machines, be it their laptops or whatever. So, in full support of that idea.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, could use a refresher on the copy, guys. Uh,
Mhm.
and next up, we have a submission from the Balkans, which, I think you're a member of Super Team Balkans. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You guys have a project that's launching called Tokami or Tokamai. Tokamai. Do you know how to pronounce that?
Actually, I have no idea how to pronounce it.
We're going with Tokamai. But it's actually a super neat idea. So
Mm.
essentially the state of debugging on Solana is that you have people messaging you on Discord, then you have
Hmm.
to try to recreate the error. And this isn't like you have like a command line interface, like a CLI that you could just like enter a command into. Like you literally need to look into the blocks and Explorer to see
Yeah.
what the error is. And furthermore, at first it's not very human readable. So deciphering whether or not it was user error. So for example, not having enough Solana in your wallet, which is very common for first-time users,
Hmm.
or even experienced users, to be honest with you, versus like an actual issue with my D app. It's very difficult to make that distinction between the two. And so what Tokamai does is give you a single platform where you get all the access to the errors as well as filtering of the different error types, as well as notifications on your Slack, on your Telegram, on your Discord. There are several services like this in Web 2 where this is super important for DevOps, where
Mm.
if there's an error, then you immediately get a notification to the devs who then can look at the error and then fix it immediately.
I know their pains.
But yeah, no, I think it's anything that centralizes. I know that centralization is a dirty word, but I think that anything that centralizes error handling is actually
Mm.
very neat
Yeah.
and useful for
Yeah,
devs. So
let's
I'm
use streamline. It streamlines error debugging
stream.
to a certain it's we don't like centralization in crypto. But yeah, it's a
Sure,
cool
sure.
project. Good idea. I love those.
No,
That's why I love the hackathons. You know, people come up with useful stuff that actually solves a problem. Pretty cool.
the next one. So you of course know Burger Bob, right?
Of course, of course.
So the reason why Simon and I know Burger Bob very, very well is because he is an alumni of Founders Villa Season 1 over in Dubai. So like we spent a lot of time with Burger Bob,
Yeah.
and my strongest memories of him was always working. He was either working or eating. It was one of the two, and sometimes occasionally taking naps on his keyboard. So it was kind of the those three things. It was working, it was eating, taking naps on his keyboard. His screen has a giant. Do you remember the giant Arnold?
Yeah.
He brought a screen with him from Germany to Dubai, like his own personal monitor. So this guy is absolutely insane. He's a dev at heart.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
does not give a fuck about what you guys are doing, like because he's just going to be developing. And if you want to chat with him, like while he's developing, that's fine. But that's what he does. That guy eats, breathes, and shits code. So
Yep.
this next
I can agree.
submission is called the Arena.
Mm.
Did you know that Burger Bob was building this?
Actually, no, yeah. I mean, he shared it in some groups. I saw it and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. And he's rebranded to he is no longer Burger Bob. He is now
Yeah, the monk
yeah,
guy. What's the full name?
Monk Mode Bob.
Monk mode
So
Bob. Yeah.
what was cracking me up about his submission video is he kept doing like the Ohm sign the entire video. So like he was like he'd like be on his laptop like showing you how Arena works and he's like Arena and I'm like, "Oh my God, this guy."
That's pretty good marketing, not gonna lie.
Dude, the post blew up and like he's that guy's brain is so weird, but like in the best possible fucking way. I love you, Monk Mode, Bob. Great rebrand. No one's ever done it in the game like you have. It is
True, true.
truly a sight to behold. So
What's the arena?
Arena, yeah, it's meme coin. It's like gamified meme coin trading. First, you go into a weight room with a bunch of different players. You press start, and then I think the first one to 2x their portfolio wins the entire pot. So
Mm,
that's, I think, how it works. And it's built on top of Drift. So shout
cool.
out to Cindy, David, Squid. I know that you guys are doing a lot of work to get more developers to utilize Drift
Hmm.
in some of their projects. Obviously, the Arena is probably the best example of this. So great work to the Drift team as well as Monk Mode Bob. But yeah, it's essentially it seems like PvP, meme coin trading.
Yep.
It's all done on chain. The winner, if the first to get to 2x, wins the entire pot. And then there's also this really cracked me up. The trading interface, there's like a chat box on the bottom right, so you
Okay.
can talk smack while
Nice.
trade. Like I'm
Such a
just trying
teaching
to
product.
imagine what kind of yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
just imagining what kind of shit people are going to be saying in there to
It
like
makes
try
so
to
much
psych
sense.
their opponents up.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense because also when you're trading, you have phases where you're just not doing anything. You're just watching the chart, like waiting for the price to do something. So it's great to have like
Yeah,
this chat window and just, and just
yeah.
be active in there while you look at it. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, I could just people saying like I'm gonna dump, I'm gonna dump, I'm gonna dump, and then they just like they 2x their position or something like that.
Right. Fun project.
Get
Really
your
cool.
competitors to dump early and then pump it with whatever capital that you have. So I'm really excited about the Arena. That shit is hilarious.
Same. Yeah.
Um, and last but not least, is a submission from Super Team UK.
Mm.
So it's built by another friend of ours, Tom. Do you remember Tom?
Yes, I actually had a call with him because of Pockharts, because of his project. And I
Yeah.
like the accent you're doing when you say his name. Um,
Oh, dude, he hates it. Every single time I see Tom, I'm just like, "Hey, Tom," and he's just like, "Oh my," he rolls his eyes. I feel bad for that kid.
yeah.
He's like,
He's
he's super young. I think he's
He's
under
young.
20. I don't know his, yeah, he's very, very young.
He's young. He's also an
Solid builder
alumni,
though.
right? Alumni of Foundersvilla. Like he was there when we were
Yes.
there, I remember. And
Yeah.
then I saw his submission, right, pop cards, and like it sparked my interest because he called it identity cards, right? And basically, it is something I had on my mind for Solana ID for a while to have like ID cards in your Apple Wallet that you can use as extension to your credit card to get access to some features, like loyalty programs, discount codes, or something, based on your Solana on-chain history. Like pretty cool idea, and that's basically what he's doing with that. Did you check it out a bit? Did you see the
Yes, I
user flow?
did.
Mm.
But I had so many questions, specifically like how did he get access to the Apple Wallet API? Is that just like open now
Yeah,
where like
there's a
anybody
thing.
can
Yeah, you can build with
because
Apple Wallet and Google Wallet.
like from my past experiences working in mobile payments, specifically like Samsung
Hmm.
Pay, like that shit used to be gated as fuck. Like you like
Mm.
no unless you had an established relationship with Apple or Samsung, like there was no way that you were going to get your card or product, whether it be like Eventbrite or like Ticketmaster. Like they're all integrated now, but I just assumed it had all been through partnerships. But seeing that Tom was able to make a working demo essentially of like, let's say, for example, your Walmart loyalty card um,
Yep.
on Apple Pay, and then like even being able to use, let's say, like your Coops NFT to give you a discount on Reposa coffee. Like that's insane. That's so
Mm.
cool. Like I'm
Yeah.
very, are you going to be integrating POW into Solana ID?
We're talking about spinning up a Solana ID branded POW card. So basically, it's going to be your Solana ID card, and you can
Yeah,
then use it, to enable some off-chain real-world benefits with your Solana ID. So I think there's some
yeah.
cool stuff we could cook together. Maybe important to mention, not important to mention, but interesting to know that Tom actually works full-time in a Web2 company that's doing nothing else than mobile wallet features with Google Pay and Google and Apple Pay. So yeah, he knows his way around those things because that's what just his full-time job. Makes a lot of sense.
He is an absolute chat, especially at that age. And also the branding, by the way. Cow cards, I
Yeah,
really
that's
like it. There's
yeah,
something about the brand. It
the
has
logo.
that kind of like old school 1960s like comic book look to it, the
Yep.
onomatopoeia. It's very unique. It doesn't feel like too Web3. Like I feel like we fall into the trap of like all these dumb Web3 names for our products. But like PAL cards feels refreshing. It feels like a consumer product.
Mm.
And I feel a little sorry that I've been singing the biggest praises to people that we know personally. But like truly, like I think that those two ideas are, and also Tokamai is very interesting in its
Yeah.
own right. So
And
yeah, no, I mean, I'm very bullish on these submissions.
also worth mentioning, there's a lot of submissions, and we just picked a few, that got mentioned from some super teams that we wanted to highlight. But
Yeah,
there's so many good submissions. We could
yeah,
never ever cover them in a podcast. But just a few highlights to
no,
give people some perspective, or what's out there, what are people building. I think it's always cool to see what's new on Solana in terms of emerging applications because we all know the big players, right? But yeah, I think it was
yes.
great to at least cover it a little bit, look a little bit in radar. Radar is now closed, so the submissions should be closed by now. And there's going to be the evaluation going on this month. And then we see whoever makes the win in their segment.
We are actually launching something with Super Team Singapore. So like very excited
Did you submit?
yes,
Did
we did. We did.
Perfect. That was yesterday
Um
or 2 days ago? Oh,
it's
right.
in a couple
So
hours. But by the time this recording comes out, like yes, the
it's
submissions will
closed.
have been closed. Yeah.
Right. So they're closing on
Yes,
the 8th
yes.
of October. Okay, got it.
Yeah, right.
Cool. What are you tinkering
Um
back at ISC for Radar?
so we are launching a DEX.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's a stable asset DEX that covers non-USD currencies
Mm-hmm.
as well as real world assets like gold, bonds. And you might kind of just be like, well, why don't you just use Meteora? Like, why don't you just use Radium? Well, the reason why you wouldn't is because uh, everything that's like most liquidity pools are for USD,
Right.
USD denominated. And
Mm-hmm.
so managing, let's say, the concentration of liquidity, very tight spread for a stable asset without having to actively manage the position is impossible. Like you, Because the issue is this, you have to concentrate the liquidity super tight because it's a stable asset. And if you spread it out like you would for a normal asset that actually fluctuates a lot more in price,
Hmm.
then you're not going to get any volume, right? So that's why you have to concentrate it. But if you keep it super concentrated, right, and the price moves a little bit, then like your liquidity is no longer being utilized at that original bucket. And so that's why you constantly have to be keeping an eye out for the price of gold, or you have to be keeping an eye out for on-chain SGD, Singapore
Mm,
dollar, right?
mm,
And you have to constantly be moving this very tight liquidity at a very particular price point. So
mm,
what we're doing is essentially forking a version of Curve, right?
mm,
And then using Oracle price so that it works for non-USD assets. So like Curve originally was used only just for USD over USD pools, right? So like any
mm,
USD stablecoin would work. But for our model, you could use any stable asset that's non-USD denominated. So this includes Brazilian real or Singapore dollar or
mm,
Japanese yen even,
mm,
and combined with gold, etc. So like it's the first time that users and retail and institutions are going to be able to provide hands-off liquidity provision for stable
mm,
assets, which will make it possible to actually onboard some of our friends from Ethereum onto Solana. So we've been talking with 9 different projects, and
mm.
like 3 of them have already agreed to be a launch partner, and a few of them are on Ethereum exclusively, and now will be coming to Solana because of
Oh,
the
that's great.
DEX. So like,
It's a
I,
big
I'm
win
I'm
for
pretty
us.
excited for that.
Good job you're
Yes.
doing there, like on the frontier of pulling people into the Solana ecosystem with a great use case, with a great product, and good to see also that you followed through with submitting something to Radar, right, and cooking something internally besides your core product. I see the stablecoin. You now also have a little side gig, and it could turn into something really real because I think you guys take it really seriously, right? It's not just a Radar submission to tinker around. It
Oh
is
no,
a
we
proper
actually need
product.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we
amazing.
need it because we're currently actively managing our own positions to manage our peg, and it's
Right.
a big pain in the ass. And so, like, we originally were
Oh,
just building this product for us, and
perfect.
we just realized that other projects can use it too.
That's how a lot of great ideas actually come into life. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Do you have anything others, anything you wanna cover in this episode, the second episode of Soul Brothers, that's top
I
of
think
mind?
that there's 3 really quick takes I want to get from you. They don't have to be too long.
Cool.
So first take is Solana Incubator just closed up their applications. So famously, Sanctum was a part of the first batch
Hmm.
of projects that was accepted into Solana Incubator. They were in New York for 3 months. It's kind of like the YC of Solana. Um,
Cool.
any thoughts on Solana Incubator and the upcoming batch that's coming up for next year, January to April?
I would love to be part of that, but it just didn't really fit our current timeline really. The whole
I
concept.
see.
I think it's a great concept for sure. And there's other names that came out of it, not just Sanctum, I think, other great names.
Espresso
Um
Cash, Juicer,
yeah,
Meme Royale. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of good
exactly.
projects there.
Yeah, Armadas in there. So and then you
Yep.
have, I think you have a pretty good direct line into the Solana eco through that incubator. So you get in touch with a lot of great projects that are just mentors in that incubator. And basically, I think if you're part of this, if you run through the incubator, you will always find your way to any person in Solana that you want to connect to because you'll have the connection. So I think it's a great networking tool to use for the eco, especially if you're a new project on Solana. Great starting point. I guess it would be quite competitive to get in there.
Pro tip, if you're completely new to the ecosystem and you have something that you want to launch after Radar, consider applying for the next Solana incubator. Applications have closed for this upcoming season, but
Yeah,
you should consider applying for additional seasons.
cool.
The second thing I want to get your take on is Founders Villa Season 2. We did talk about it a little bit, but how excited are you for Season 2 of Founders Villa?
It's going on. It's right now it is happening actually here in Dubai. And
Yeah.
it's a great place. So basically you can imagine it that way for everyone who has no idea what's happening. It's a compound of like 6 villas by now. They all kind of look the same. And then they're connected in with a nice garden. Every villa has a pool. It's like one gated closed area. And then each of those villas is holding a few crypto founders from the Solana ecosystem that applied to be part of it and that are now co-living and co-working in that complex. During the day, you have some agenda of workshops. Some are legal related, some are fundraising related. We have dev workshops, product related workshops. We have pitch demo days. We have Dubai and UAE related workshops that help you to kind of get settled here, get started business here. So a lot of useful information. And then obviously you have all the founders there. So a lot of friends if you're already an established project here that you will meet here, and a great opportunity for new entrants into Solana to connect with people. Great setup, really well organized. And I think it's a super valuable experience and worth the money you pay, especially since it's subsidized a bit by foundation and super team. So you really get the bang for the buck if you choose a room in the villa.
Yeah, I mean, like we know a lot of folks. It was a big investment to go to Dubai, but I don't think that there's a single one of them, not even a single one, who said that it wasn't worth it. So
Yeah,
I know it's a big expense for some people. I get that. But if you really are trying to jumpstart your Solana career or like your IRL connections to people in the space,
yeah,
there's really no other place to do it than Founders Villa. I don't
yep.
even know if they have any spots open, but they're probably full. But if they
They're probably
do
fun.
have spots
Yeah,
open, yeah, I
well,
mean, like I try to go to the next one, I guess, but yeah,
exactly.
Foundersville is gonna
Me
be
too.
lit. And the last
Mm.
last one I want to ask um, is Hacker House Hong Kong. How do you feel about that?
Hacker House is always legendary, right? I think a good
Yeah,
place to meet the ecosystem. Very kind of crisp event, right? Is it 1 or 2 days again in Hong Kong? It's 2 days, I guess,
yeah, I
or
think
even
it's gonna be 2 days. Yeah,
yeah, pretty sure. And yeah, end of this month actually, so quite soon. And yeah, probably mostly the Asian Solana ecosystem is gonna meet up there. I don't think you will make it, Will you make your way
no,
down there?
unfortunately.
To Hong Kong? Same here. I can't do the trip this time. But yeah, in your experience, what is the valuable thing from attending the hacker houses as a Solana founder or someone who's interested in Solana?
I mean, it was the start of everything. We couldn't have gone as far as we did if it weren't for building up trust with other
Right.
founders in the space. So going to hacker houses are an absolute must. And I went to the Hong Kong Hacker House last year. It was
Hmm.
amazing. You
Perfect.
get to connect with like all the Chinese builders, and they don't make it out to a lot of events, like the Malaysian Chinese and Singaporean Chinese, sure, but we're talking like mainland Chinese as well as like Hong Kongers. The Hong Kong Hacker House is the place to meet them, and it is a huge ecosystem. And there's a lot of work that Solana Labs is doing in China right now. So, very much recommend going.
It has been a pleasure as usual to have this
Yes.
amazing conversation with you. Thank you so much for taking part in these, and thank you, dear listener, for tuning in to the Salt Brothers in our early journey, covering the latest news, happenings, recent events, and launches, and everything about the Solana ecosystem. Together with us, you're on that journey. So yeah, thanks for dialing in. Stay safe on chain and off chain, and we will see you at the next one.